All right. So we now are familiar with y equals mx plus b. We are familiar with y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. And those two particular forms are very handy for graphing. But there is a third form that you will often see because these two are not, what's the word I'm looking for? They are not always the prettiest. What I mean by that is sometimes this guy can have 3/4 x plus 7, for example. And same thing here, right? The slope could be a fraction or a decimal. And math, when we write math, we like it to be as simple to see and read as possible. So as a result, there is this form called general form. Now, general form is not a high-ranking military official. You do not have to say general form every time you see it. Major idiot. Get it? That's better. All right. If you guys don't start laughing at my jokes, we're going to have a major problem. Major problem. There, see? It's side-splitting is how funny it is. All right, now. Yeah, we got to be careful. We'll have Colonel Corn in here. Then we'll really be in trouble. That'll be a major problem. I had popcorn last night. I took my family to the river last night, and I was too lazy to cook dinner, so we got pizza instead. And then it wasn't enough pizza, so I had to make popcorn afterwards. It wasn't a very nutritious dinner in the Myers household. Anyway, we don't like these. We like our math to be smooth and pretty. So general form exists for that purpose. General form, and I'm going to draw a blue arrow down to it, is this. ax plus by plus c equals 0. And there's some rules about general form. First of all, when you read it, you just know that it's still got an x and a y, just like the other two, but there may or may not be coefficients. All right, now this is where it gets tricky, because in slope-intercept form, that number that's by itself is the y-intercept, correct? And it's a constant, because it's just a number. In general form, we have a constant again, but it is not the y-intercept. Okay? It gets weird here. The rules for general form are easy. This number must be a positive integer. So a must always be positive and has to be an integer. Who remembers what an integer means? Or what an integer means? A number? Pardon me? No. It has to be a positive integer. Is this an integer? 7.2. Yes or no? No, it's not. What is 8 an integer? Yes. What's the difference? Decimal. It has to be a positive integer. No fractions, no decimals. Okay? B must be an integer. B can be negative. C must be an integer. Okay? So the simple fact of the matter is all of them share x and y. And because we know how to do algebra, all of them can become any of the other ones. Okay? That's the point I'm trying to make. So let's look at this very first one right here. This is in general form. Yes, sir. Fine. No more jokes. I'll just teach math. You know what, Charlotte? You think you're the first person to say, okay, don't stop telling jokes, stop being that way, just be a math teacher. You think you're the first person to say that in 20 years? What do you think happens when I do? No. I actually do it. I shut up and I just teach math. Like the teacher from Ferris Bueller. If you haven't seen the movie Ferris Bueller, that joke is totally lost on you. But if you have seen Ferris Bueller, you know the joke, the teacher that I mean. Have any of you seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off? One of the finest films ever made? Well, Jimmy, that would be your real homework tonight. At any rate, in that movie there's a teacher. Maybe if we have time I'll show him to you. But I teach math that way, and then all the kids get even more angry. They're like, we don't like it when you're just a teacher. Meh. So, careful what you wish for, Charlotte. Anyways, before Charlotte was so mean to me, this is general form. What does it have? It's got X's and Y's, right? Which means we could graph it if we wanted to, yeah? Right now, as it is, what's the only way you guys could graph that? From what's highlighted. Can you graph it just by looking at it? No. So it's the only way you could graph it. What would you do to graph what is yellow there? You would have to do either X and Y intercepts or a table of values, yes? But because it has an X and a Y, we can turn it into that. So let's do so. How does the yellow differ from the blue? What's changed? Pardon me? Don't say one is highlighted yellow and one is highlighted blue, Jimmy. Is that what you were going to say? I do the jokes here, Jimmy. I do the jokes. Okay. Jimmy, I do the jokes here. Okay? What's different between what's in yellow and what's in blue? Yeah, okay. Which numbers? 3, 2, and 8, and 0. Over here, do you see any? You see only 2 spots for numbers, don't you? You can have a number here, and you can have a number here. But over here, we have 3 numbers, yes? So what must I be doing to get rid of those 3 numbers? I must be doing algebra, yes? So I call your attention to that and that. In the green one, y is isolated. So if I isolate y from general term, from general form, I get slope-intercept form. And then it's graphable. Just by looking at it, right? No tables of values, no x and y intercepts. We can just look at it. So what am I going to do to make this yellow one look like the blue one? What's got to move? I would move the negative 2y. Because if I move that, then that takes care of the negative, doesn't it? So I'm going to have 3x plus 8 equals 2y. Now, what is the last thing I need to do to get y by itself? Algebra. So what's the last step to get y by itself? Divide by 2. Which means what do I have to do on the other side? Divide everything by 2. 3 over 2x plus 4 equals y. Now, do the 2 blue ones look the same? Yep. So now can we graph it just by looking at it? Where do I start? 4 where? 0, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 at the y-axis. Then what? Up 3, 1, 2, 3, and over. What does over mean? Right, 1, 2. And then just to be safe, I would go down 1, 2, 3, and left 1, 2. And that would allow me to graph that line without actually doing a table of values. Is everybody cool? Yeah? Okay. Now, this is general form's ugly cousin. This is called standard form. Please notice the only difference. It is AX plus BY equals C. The third number is on the other side. That's the only difference. Otherwise, all the same rules apply. Okay? Now, if I wanted to graph this as it is, we couldn't do it very well. We would need a table of values, or we would need the x and the y intercepts. But can I make this look like slope-intercept form? Of course I can, by doing what? Isolating y. So 3x minus 4y equals 8. I'm going to move the 3. I'm going to get negative 4y equals what? Negative 3x plus 8. Then what am I going to do? Divide by negative 4. And y will equal, what's negative 3 divided by negative 4? Positive 3/4 x. And what's positive 8 divided by negative 4? Negative 2. And then I graph it. Negative 2, up 1, 2, 3, right 1, 2, 3, 4. Down 1, 2, 3, left 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's my line. And you're on break. And we will see you. Number 3, this is where you start to show what you know. Okay? There is more than one way to go about answering number 3. Okay? You could put it into slope-intercept form. Then you would automatically know the y-intercept. Right? Or you could work with it right as it is. It's totally up to you. I do not care. All right? You use whatever mathematical tool is in your mathematical tool box to answer questions like this. Yes? Now, most of you will probably do the x0 and 0y approach, which is just fine. You're more than welcome to do that. Or you could convert this into slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, which will automatically give you the y-intercept, yes? And then you could sub this into your converted one. It doesn't matter, okay? Whatever you want to do. Either way, you're doing 2 steps, right? So your choice. I am going to keep with this because of what's coming ahead, okay? I know what's coming down the road, so I want to get you guys used to substituting in 2 equations. All right? So the first one, of course, will be 5x equals 10. What happened to the y? Why does it disappear? Because you're multiplying by 0, okay? And then, of course, the other one is 2y equals 10. And the x disappears for the same reason. And you should be able to do that in your head. X equals 2 and y equals 5. And then we graph it. X is 2, y is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? And then we draw the line. Now, just for the sake of argument, very quickly, 5x plus 2y equals 10. 2y equals negative 5x plus 10. Y equals negative 5 over 2x plus 5. Was our y-intercept 5? Did we go down 5, which is negative 5, and that way 2, which is positive 2, to get that slope? So it all works, right? They all work together to solve the problems. And you are allowed to use any or all of these for any or all parts of any or all questions. Okay? There is no way for me to say you should always use this version, because it just depends on what the question has to offer you. Yes? Hey.
It only took Leo 15 minutes
to sort you out?
Yeah.
Did you watch what he did?
Oh, he just goes through a log.
Yeah, that's annoying.
It is annoying.
Yeah. All right. So, okay. So I am going to give you 2 points on a line. All right? Those 2 points are going to be 3, negative 5, and negative 6, and that's going to be 13. With that knowledge, you should all be able already to do number 10. How many of you are feeling a little bit nervous if I were to say right now, go, do that right now, and this is the only thing I'm going to let you do to prepare for your Unit 6 test, and this is the only thing I'm going to mark. So if you can't do this, you're failing the unit. How many people would feel a little nervous? Good. Why do you feel a little nervous? 20 of you put up your hand. One of you has a reason you feel nervous. It's not because you're in math class, because you shouldn't be nervous in my math class. What bugs you about what I just said? If I were to guess, I would say it is that much empty space and not sure of where to start. That would be my guess. Am I right for some of you? Excellent. Okay. Then, were I you, I would think back to, what does Mr. Myers say this whole unit that I should do every time I'm not sure what to do? You're supposed to find something. Find what? Slope. Do I have the tools to find slope right now? Well, let's do it. What is the slope? What's the slope? y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Who decides those? You do. So decide. Do that right now. Everybody do that. I'm not going to write it down because I've already done it in my head. I want to know what you will tell me the slope is. When you think you know the slope, tug on your left ear. You guys are no fun. The crow flies at midnight. It's code. So if you know what you're doing, because they teach it, they tell us at teacher school that it is just as embarrassing to know the answer as it is to not know the answer, apparently, for you people. And they tell us at teacher school that we shouldn't make the kids who know what they're doing say anything out loud, just like we shouldn't make the kids who don't know what they're doing say anything out loud. Which means, of course, if the kids who know what they're doing can't say anything, and the kids who don't know what they're doing can't say anything, who can speak in class? Nobody but the teacher. And then the next thing they tell us in teacher school is classrooms should be more student-led. I'm not sure how to make that happen. When students won't speak because they're scared to look smart and they're scared to look unsmart, and teachers aren't allowed to speak either, I'm not sure exactly how math class is supposed to go. I think we're all just supposed to sit here and feel good about ourselves. I'm getting an A. I feel really good about myself. I'm still getting an A. Because I'm kind of a millennial, but I'm not really. All right, seriously though, folks, what's the slope? -2, because it is 13 minus 5 over -6 minus 3, which is 18 over -9, which is -2. Right? Now, since I know m, does that now allow me to work with two of my three forms? Which two of my three forms uses m? Point slope form, y minus y1 equals m x minus x1. And what's the other one? Y equals m x plus b. So what can I now put in for both m's? I can put in -2. So let's do the blue one first. Y equals -2x plus b. That's a problem, isn't it? What's the problem with that? I don't know b, right? I'm allowed to have x and y. I have to have x and y, because when we graph this, it's made up of x's and y's, correct? But I can't leave it without b. How can I find b? What do I see there, and there? Those are x's and y's. What do I see there and there? X's and y's. So what can I put there? Can I put the green ones? Can I put the blue ones? Why can I put both of them? Because they're both on the same line, and it doesn't matter which I use. Okay? So, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to use the green ones. So what am I writing here? -5 equals -2. What am I writing here? 3 plus b. Correct? What is -2 times 3? -5 equals -6 plus b. How do I get b isolated right now? What do I got to do to that 6? I got to add it or move it, yes? When I move it, it changes signs to 6, yeah? What's 6 minus 5? 1 equals b. Now, can I fix this up? So now I have y equals -2x plus 1. That is one of my forms, correct? I have to do 3 more. The other one I have is the red one. Y minus y1 equals m x minus x1. Okay. Do I know m? What is it? -2. X minus, this point is a point I know on the graph, right? Is there an x value that I know from the graph? How many x values could I write there? I have a choice of 2, don't I? Now, since I've already used the green ones, I'm going to use the blue ones over here. So what would I write? I'd write -6, but I wouldn't write minus 6, would I? What would I write? Plus 6. And over here, y minus, what would I do for y? 13. And I'd be good to go. There is my second form. The third form is ax plus by plus c equals 0. Everything on one side, no fractions, a is positive, correct? So, look closely. Is that guy pretty darn easy to make look like that? So let's do it. What has to move? The negative 2x, because the number with x has to be positive. So we had y equaled negative 2x plus 1. Move that over. What does it become? 2x plus y equals 1. Hey, there's general form. And how do I get that to standard form? Bring the 1 over. 2x plus y minus 1 equals 0. All of this from slope and a point. That's how much math you can do if you know slopes and points. That's a lot of math, right? From two things that we know. So now, I put that question first because it scares most people because I don't even know where to start. But you all know how to do that. So now, we'll do some easy ones. How do I turn that into general form? What is general form? I remind you again, ax plus by plus c equals 0. And all that is on your data booklet. You don't have to have it memorized. So what I have is this. And I want to get to here. So what over here is ugly? What is in the way over here? There's a fraction. We're not allowed fractions over here. What else? There's negatives all over the place, right? What else? What's C? C's one constant, right? How many constants do I have over here? 2. So that's a problem. What else? Just look. What is here that isn't here? Brackets. So I got to get rid of brackets, I got to get rid of a fraction, and I got to somehow deal with all of these numbers, correct? Everyone agree? What do you want to deal with first? What is the thing that bothers you the most? Brackets bothers Charlotte the most? Is that okay with everyone? Okay. Now, think back 2 units ago. What do I do with this number out in front if there's brackets? I distribute, right? So it's going to go there and there, correct? So I'm going to get y minus 4 equals 2/3 x plus what? What is 2/3 times 2? Hmm? 2/3 times 2, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, it's 4/3, right? 1 1/3. Now what bothers you? Fraction? Okay. How do I get rid of divided by 3 and divided by 3? If I multiply this side by 3, what happens to all these 3's? They go away. 2x plus 4. But if I multiply the right side by 3, what do I got to do to the left side? Multiply by 3. How do I multiply 3 through all that? Distribute again. So what is it? 3y minus 12. Now, are we getting pretty darn close to that? What do I need to do? I just got to move everything to one side. But x has to stay positive. So is x positive right now? So should I touch x? No. X is going to stay right where he is, which means everything else moves. What happens when this 3 comes over the equal sign? It comes negative 3y. What happens when this 12 comes over the equal sign? It becomes positive 12. Now I've got these two numbers. What do I do with them? What do I do? Adam, what's 4 plus 12? And what does all that equal? 0. Now, does that look like that? And I'm done. Now, can I offer you a shortcut? Because not very many of you were comfortable distributing a fraction. Right? A lot of you were not comfortable with that. So watch what you can do. I'm going to work this in pink. It's going to get me the same answer. Y minus 4 equals 2/3 x plus 2. If I start with this 3, watch how different this looks. I'm going to multiply by 3 right now to clear out that 3. They cancel. Now I've got 2x plus 2. Multiply this side by 3, 3y minus 12. Distribute that, 3y minus 12 equals 2x plus 4. And now we're in business. The reason I like this move is because what if you're doing math higher up and this number right here is a fraction? You picking up what I'm putting down? If I gave you this, y minus 4 equaled 2/3 x plus 1/7. Now distributing is a pain, isn't it? Right? But I can get rid of that 3 right now. And then I'm in slightly better shape from your perspective. Because I would imagine you guys would rather distribute 2 into x plus 1/7 than distribute a fraction and then try to deal with that later. But does it matter? If you like to distribute the fraction, you can do that first. Because you can see we end up at the same spot, don't we? Because see, this is the same thing. Everybody cool? The pink way again? Okay, what part of it? Like start from scratch? So here. So you don't like, you don't like this divide by 3, right? That's the thing that's bothering you. So if I multiply this whole side by 3, I'm going to end up canceling those 3's out, right? So I'm going to have 2, but nothing else changes. But because I multiplied this side by 3, I got to multiply this side by 3. And then I just distribute that in there, like from unit 3, 4. Cool? All right. Everybody good? Excellent. Now, go slowly, take that and put it into all the other forms. Now listen to me. There's no right order to do this in, but there are more efficient orders to do this in. Do you understand what I'm saying? Work with your neighbor, try to sort it out, go. Okay, again, there's no right order to do this in, okay? But here's the way I would do this. I always start by going to slope intercept. And the reason for that is because y is already isolated, or almost isolated, right? So I had y plus 3 equaled negative 1/2 x minus 1, correct? Okay, so y equaled negative 1/2 x minus 1 minus 3, right? Because I moved the 3 over. Then all I got to do is get rid of the brackets. Y equals negative 1/2 x. Negative 1/2 times negative 1 is positive 1/2 minus 3. Right? 1/2 minus 3, negative 1/2 x minus 2.5, 5 over 2, 2.5, whatever you want to say. That's the way I would do this question. Okay? Now, some of you don't want to do it that way. That's cool. Another thing you may do, you would maybe go to general form first. And to get to general form, you might distribute that 1/2. But again, a lot of you didn't like that, so maybe you multiplied by 2. Whatever. I'm going to do the multiply by 2 move. 2y plus 6 equals -1 x minus 1, because the 2's cancel. Then 2y plus 6 equals -x plus 1. Negative x is not allowed, so I'm going to bring it over here, x plus 2y, and I'll bring that 1 over here, becomes -1. 6 minus 1 is 5, equals 0. And then, lastly, general form, or that's general form. Standard form, x plus 2y equals -5. Now, if you went this route first, then you can see how easy it is to get back to there. Right? I just isolate y. 2y equals -1 x minus 5. Y equals -1 divided by 2x minus 5 divided by 2. See how it doesn't matter what order you do it in? You can go in a circle. It doesn't matter. Is everybody cool? It's just algebra. Early. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Only the A. Sahil. Yep, where I distribute through first. Yep, no problem. Oh, you want the long way? Yeah, sure. Easy peasy. So I got to get x moved, right? So if I've got to move x, I have to do the opposite of what I see, right? So this x is no good to me there, so I'm going to add x there. Once I add x to that side, I got to add x to this side, right? There's no other x's over here, so it's just x. I've just added my x, right? Y isn't moving, so it's staying there. And this 1 is no good here, because I'm not allowed a 1 there, right? So I got to subtract that 1 to get rid of it on the right, which means I got to subtract it on the left, and 6 minus 1 is 5. Now, -x plus x is 0. 1 minus 1 is 0, so it equals 0. Okay? Now, there is nothing wrong with doing this the old school way of doing algebra. That's cool. Just be aware it takes a little bit longer. Right? Everybody good? Sweet. Do page 214. Go. It is 9:56. Your break is at 10:40. We have more than enough time for you to work on page 214 and talk about page 214 and get your quiz back and go over it before the next break. Okay? And then we will be nicely on schedule or schedule, depending on what you say. I'm personally a schedule man myself, but lots of people are a schedule man myself, or themselves, because of course all of us are in summer shul, right? But no, we're in summer school, of course. What? Oh, I got to give you them back. I forgot about that. They're right here. Some people did so well they didn't need it back. Yeah, buddy. I got them right here. I'll give them back so you can study from them. I'll even go over them if you need me to. You are aware that he has not received any marks for the last 3 things he's done, right? Because he hasn't been here. And you're aware that he's probably not coming back. By choice. He wasn't asked to not come back, but he has chosen not to come back. Which means he's going to get 0 on his Unit 5 test, 0 on his Unit 6 test, 0 on his Unit 8 test, 0 on his cumulative, and 0 on his final. So Sevik gave up 16 days of summer for what? Nothing. But that's his choice, not mine.